Hello, everybody. Welcome to We Roll Dice. I'm Stu. We're just gonna do some hobbying and some chat. Gonna see who joins us. Maybe some, maybe none. Let's get down to the table. Just gonna assemble some models, and we'll see what happens. So let's get down to the table. Okay. So today on the assembly block, let me get this all set and ready to go. There we go. Today on the assembly block, we're going to continue assembling. Make sure we got lots of light in here. There we go. We're gonna continue assembling our Beast of Chaos. Now I'm in a Age of Sigmar Skirmish League down at the local hobby shop. Let's see, get some light here. There we go. That local hobby shop. That light drowns it out. Okay, let's just get rid of that one. And trying to build up to 180 points here. So far I've got my Doom Bull. I got 2 Centigors. And I'm thinking I add 1 more Centigor. So, welcome to the show. Hopefully the sound is okay. You know, feel free if you join in to give a hello. Let us know you're out there. But looking through these guys, I think I'm going to assemble this one. Yeah, I think that one is what I want to go with. There's basically 3 different stances in this Centigor set. The champion, this stance, which I made into the musician, and then this one. I'm not a big fan of the rectangular bases, considering everything in Age of Sigmar has gone with the circular, so I picked up some of these. They are comparable in size. I think this would be, the round or oval equivalent. So that's what I'm going to go with. So I went out. Okay, sounds all good. Thank you. Basic miniature painting. Shout out, said hi, bud. Sound and picture all good. Thank you very much. So we're going to, as I said, get some of this assembled. Oh, almost missed that little horn there. Again, not a big fan of fine cast, but not able to get these Centigors in anything else currently. Contemplated making my own out of beastmen and horses that I have, but I just broke down and bought these. So currently I've had 2 games in the Age of Sigmar Skirmish League at our local hobby shop. I've been fortunate enough to win both games. The only thing that has to stay the same is your hero. So that's my Doom Bull. We started off at 150 points. So I had a Doom Bull, a Centigor, and a Bestigor, and that put me just 2 points under. So then the next game, as I said, we're allowed to change around everything but who your leader is. So then in that game I had the two Centigors. Didn't have an instrument, but I'm building it to eventually have the instrument, but I did have a champion. The Gorhoof, I think is Gorhoof, I think is what the champion is called. So it worked out pretty good because they have a 14-inch movement. Just regular 14-inch movement. That's huge. The first game was you got points for kills, and if it was a champion or a hero of yours that killed your opponent, then you got 3 points. Or leader got 3, champion got 2, and regular like infantry or whatever would get 1 point. So it ended up working out pretty good. I played against a Night Haunt army. Everything of mine got taken out, but then my Doom Bull tabled the opponent, so that worked. Then my next game was against Seraphon, and they had like they're not called a Sunblood. Is it a Sunblood? I know there's the old blood, and then there's a Sun something, the guy with the shield that ignores pretty much all your rend. And yeah, that was a good match. I ended up winning that one too. Okay, we're gonna clip this off because of the round base. Ended up winning that game. But it was a lot closer than what it ended. Like at the end, he had it wasn't a full Seraphon. He was Order, so he had that sun blood sun something, and then like an Elven Archer, two different Elven Archers, ones that did like multiple shots. So they were pretty good. I just with the movement of these Centigors, you can really get in there. I really want to take that horn because it allows them to run and charge in the same turn. So with the movement 14 plus the run, Age of Sigmar, you can spend a command point to make that run automatically 6 inches. So that's 20 inches plus a charge. So they technically have a 32-inch threat range. That's huge. With 2 wounds each, by the time you do the hooves and the spears, they get 4 attacks. This guy would end up with 5, I think, because it's an additional attack with the spear. They have a 5-up save unless it's against melee. Then with the bucklers, it becomes a 4-up save. They're pretty good for 16 points each. I think they're pretty good. So I'm just gonna get rid of some mold lines here. There we go. What else has been happening? Last night went over to a friend of mine and we did a full gaming night. Started off playing some Fury of Dracula. I'd never played that before. It's actually a pretty fun game. We beat Dracula, which was great. It took us quite a ways. I think he was like 3 influence points away from the full 13, which we would have lost. I was playing as Van Helsing. I started in Edinburgh, and he was all the way on the other side of the map, but somehow I managed to be the first one to encounter him. Punched him about like 3 times in the face. He hit me a few times, and then I played my escape card, and he played his like turn to bats and flee card. It's funny. If you haven't played it, it's kind of like when you're fighting, you have cards that have your actions, what you do, and they're kind of rock, paper, scissors. They have little symbols on the side that would tell you one way or the other. That was good. Then we played, it was a Game of Thrones card. After that was done, Game of Thrones card game, um, where you try and collect as many banners as you can by moving the spider guy back and forth. It's hard to explain. I'd never played it before. I managed to win that one. Beginner's luck. I mean, they all kind of were instructing me as to what I was supposed to do, hence probably why I ended up winning. I'm going to cut this. I'm going to keep part of this base on, or part of this slotted part on, because I find it easier and better to glue when it goes in. I might take it off after, but we'll see. Okay, now it's a matter of finding out if that is necklace there or flash. I think that's a little part of the necklace comes down into like a tooth or a horn. But that's definitely flash. Problem with these resin models, they're really, I mean, or fine cast or whatever this is. One, it's fine cast, so that's its own problem. Anyone out there that puts together GW models will know the wonders of fine cast. Now, they're extremely detailed, but all that flash and everything, sometimes you can miss little chunks of it here and there. I think that guy. Now, these have already all been washed. Another heads up for any of you. If you've never worked with fine cast or resin, make sure you give them a good wash. I do the washing before even clipping them out. And make sure that you wash them down. Get all that mold release, I guess is what it would be called, off of the miniature. There we go. Clip all the fine little flashing off, and then we trim it up after. Now I saved these to add as little bits of details on the bases. Can't really see that there. I'll take a look at another model I've got in progress here. See on the base, I kind of use it as large chunks of rubble and whatnot just to help break up the base some. And you glue little bits of weapons that you might have carved off for whatever reason. Got my pack of skulls, so have to have the skulls on the Chaos Army's bases. And then you can see this one worked on a little bit more. I mean, it's not painted completely. It's just first base coats anyways. And yeah, you can see there's little chunks of sprue that are being cut up and put on there to try and make look like rocks. I got my little squished goblin there. Yeah. So I hope you all are having a fine weekend. This lovely Saturday. I had yesterday off work, not really by choice, but due to the fact that I had a dental procedure. And that was not fun whatsoever, let me tell you. Not fun. The hygienist, when she was poking and prodding around in my gums, and every once in a while I give like an ow or whatever, she's like, I really don't like hurting people. My first thought was, then why did you go into the field of dentistry? I know it's not a thing that you hope that your dentist would enjoy, hurting people. But pretty much most dentists, there is some pain involved in their job. Okay. I'll put those aside, give a little bit of scrape. You can see I just use a massive Olfa knife for that. I got my files and everything else that once needed. But I find this Olfa, good sturdy blade on it. It doesn't always get into the smallest of crevices. But if it does have to take out larger chunks, it does really well at that. Let me give that a dry fit and see if that piece is actually something. Doing good. Got an hour before 12-hour shift work currently. Painting my French infantry from the Battle of Waterloo. Excellent. So is that French infantry? That's is that 28mm true scale? Just curious. And which game is that for? Yeah, okay, it's 28mm true scale. So true scale for those, that's basic miniature painting. That's painting up his French infantry, or painting up the French infantry. So if anyone, Black Powder. Oh, okay, I've never played that game. Huh, I'll have to look that up. Games Workshop miniatures are what's called like a heroic scale, so they have large heads, large feet. Most of their features are over-exaggerated. True scale is what it sounds like. It's a true scale. So painting those, it's a higher detail. Let's just put it that way. Really fine detail. Okay, let us grab some glue here. So when it comes to resin, I honestly, I just cheap out. These are just crazy glue. I find I like the crazy glue the best. Now usually I just put some on as such. And then because of the gaps in these, if you get the gel crazy glue, this thicker gel crazy glue, I put a bead of it along here, and it acts as a gap filler as well. You can see there when you squeeze it together, a little bit comes out. So then usually take a bit of sprue or anything else to kind of smooth in that area. It's going to be hard to see on camera because it's clear, but that is actually filling in that gap. We have a large gap along the back, which again, I'll take the gel crazy glue, put some in there. Now you can take, your liquid green stuff or any of those other type things and fill in there. I find that this works just fine. And then after that's starting to set up a little bit, then I'll wipe away the extra. And we get a little bit in there. I think when you said wash, just wash in water or acetone or something like that. Yeah, I use just soap and water. Soap and water, and I have a toothbrush. And that's what I do. I take it under the sink. I get a little, and when I say soap, I just mean dish soap. Very small amount of dish soap. I put a little bit of water in the sink, or you can do it in a cup, anything of the sort, or a bowl. And then I just take and put in the water, do a little scrub back and forth all over it, and it gets rid of all the mold release. Because if you don't do that, when it comes time for painting, your primer won't stick to it. Excuse me. Any touching of it will just easily rub it off. Because sometimes it's like a powder, sometimes it's like a greasy like spray. I'm not exactly sure what it is that they use on these models. But I know that if you don't wash it, I've had trouble before with the paint just coming off way too easy. So my suggestion is to make sure that you wash it. Okay, so that's got that. Let's get his horn, this side of the horn anyways. So it looks like these are supposed to come and curve it. Sorry for keep taking it off at a frame there, but just needing to try and find exactly the way that this goes. Just like that. Okay. A little dab of crazy glue. There we go. Little dab will do you. Right, I wonder because it seems like that greasiness you mentioned might require a mild solvent. Thus the soap. Yes, just a little bit of dish soap. Dawn takes the grease away. Not officially sponsored by Dawn. Okay, so we just gotta hold that in place for a second, be it that it's crazy glue. There you go. Not a big fan of this guy's mouth. Well, actually, he's got his lip up. He's all like grubby. I want to be the one to get him. Okay. Let that dry a little. There we go. Got some gap back there, but that will be okay. It's on the underside. Now, when I go to paint these, I'm not going for, Slayer Sword, Golden Demon, anything like that. I'm just getting them table ready. These ones here, like I'm still in the process of painting them, obviously, based them black. And then just starting to add the colors. This here. Okay, so there's the approximation on the base. It'd be right about there. And let's see here. Just an approximate length so I know. There we go. Set him aside. I know I could just glue the feet straight down. I'm just worried that they might not match up. So I am in fact going to make some slits. Of course, that's off camera. There we go. It's a little wide. Kind of want this to be a tight fit. There we go. I do have my Dremel. Maybe that's something I should be using. Would make that portion a heck of a lot easier. But That's okay. There we go. So gearing up, getting ready for Phantasm. That should be great. Local gaming convention here in my hometown. Going to run some Zombicide Black Plague just because it's a role-playing and like board game kind of convention. So I figure Zombicide Black Plague, that'd be great. I was going to run some D&D, but I do not have my 3D terrain painted yet. I had a fellow gamer, he printed me off with his 3D printer a bunch of terrain. It's absolutely fantastic. See here? Got, for example, all the different bits and whatnot to make my 3D dungeon out of. But as you can see, I don't have it painted yet. The convention's not too far away, so I'm just going to go with some quick Zombicide. There's a lot of other really, really good game masters that are going to be there that will have some fantastic games. So maybe I'll get a chance to play in some. I will be there. I'll also be selling my We Roll Dice shirts. So if you are there, take a look for them. Let's carve this out ever so slightly. There we go. Unfortunately, the gaming convention also runs on the same night that normally I do my, well, I mean, it's a weekend event, but it's on a weekend. I do every other week. I DM a Dungeons and Dragons game for a group of friends. That'll work just fine. For a group of friends, and unfortunately, it's the same time. But I'm hoping, I know 2 of them are actually coming out to it, so that'd be good. Both of them, it'll be their first times coming. One's also bringing his son, which is great. So it'll be their first times out, and it's fantastic. Anyways, how long does it take to get a reasonable quality of the 3D printed stuff? Well, this guy was really, really quick with the 3D dungeon stuff printed out for me. And he charged, basically, $1 an hour that it was on the printer. So the most of those tiles that I showed you took like an hour to 2 hours to build. So I paid like $1 a tile. Some tiles were like $2 a tile. It was really good. Really good price. Okay, let's see here, get that down. Of course. Let's see here, I'll put that through, and as such, and then that tacks and holds, sort of. So I'll show you a trick that I've learned with this. Take some sand, right? You get your glue exactly where you want it to be. So, and you want, with this bit, the only time that I use excessive amounts of crazy glue when it comes to gluing parts together. Because as you can see, this guy doesn't want to stay. Now, baking soda works even better. But I do this, hold it approximately in place where you want it to be. Let's get that even better in place. I'll hold it down like that. I'm going to take some sand and I put it around the area. Right, and it should hold. Yeah, well, it's dirt cheap compared to it. If I was to go with like the Dwarven Forge resin stuff, I think I would get a thing about the size of this cutting mat for $190 Canadian. Whereas I paid 200 for the terrain that he printed me, and I have almost a 4-foot by 6-foot table completely covered in a dungeon. So, I don't know. To me, it seems a no-brainer. Yeah, it's huge. Step and Ponytail says, sweet. Come on now. Okay, of course, this time this isn't gluing. Sometimes they like to give a little bit of problems. There we go. And all of a sudden, it'll just catch. Just catch and glue. So we're going to let that dry just for a second. And while that's setting up, which doesn't take long at all. Now, I was going to put the banner in his hand. Yeah, of course, I'll knock it and it falls. I was going to put the banner in his hand, but it's not actually one with a banner. So I think I'm going to save that. But being this is fine cast, you can see all this wonderful warpage that the spears get. Now you can fix this by having hot water. You dip this in hot water, you straighten it to how you like, and then dip it back in the cold water. This is just going to give us troubles, isn't it? Normally that catches almost instantly. All right. There to there. Again, part of the problem is, see how the feet, I thought that 1 foot was supposed to stay on, but it doesn't. It just glues with the back foot. Just the back foot. So, let's do it with, back to this. Get the glue on here, as such. Take this in as such. Some sand on the back side. Even open our glue. Put some on the back side. Again, I wish I had my baking soda down here because that's the actual best way to do it. Because it just turns into plastic, basically. Okay, so you see on the underneath, a pool of crazy glue, and then you put the sand. That should hold it. Bada bing. There we go. Okay, so now it's a matter of picking out what I think is one of the straightest, because I just want to get this glue down here. Okay, so we're going to go with this arm here. Set him to one side so that I don't keep butchering him. Even that spear, it's not as straight as I'd necessarily like it to be, but there's a part of me that says gnarly wooden spear, you know. Okay. Carve this out straight. So again, I'd like to thank you for joining me. If you're watching this live feed, if you're watching it later, put in the comments below. What games do you play? Age of Sigmar. There's somebody commenting on my post, that ding that you heard. But Age of Sigmar, or do you play Warhammer 40,000? Do you play D&D? All of the above? None of the above? Something I've never heard of? I always love when people put comments of games that I've never heard of, so it allows me to check them out. Like, believe it or not, last night was the first time ever that I played a game of Munchkin. what I was mentioning earlier, did a game night. I went over to a friend's place. We did a game night. There was 5 of us. We started off by playing Fury of Dracula. Fantastic. I played Van Helsing. We ended up beating Dracula right near the end. Then we played this card game. It was like a Game of Thrones card game where you have like 6 cards by 6 cards, and you use, I forget what his name is, but like the spider guy, the spy, and you move around. You try and collect different members of the houses, and that gets you your banners. And then we played Munchkin, but it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle version where you like kick open the sewer grate, go down there, get all your different stuff in your armor. Again, I'd never played Munchkin before, and it was fantastic. I enjoyed myself. I mean, at the start, I really had no clue what was going on, but it's a fun card game. Um, how you kind of like mess each other over. Oh, as well with these little guys, I find if I just clip the tip of that nub off, not much, but just a bit, that it fits a lot better. Like a lot better. So we're going to take this, we're going to dry fit as to what we think looks best. I want the spear up or forward. I like it slightly up so that it's almost like the front of this base. So you can have that right against the enemy or terrain or anything of the sort. So that's how we're going to do it. That is how we are going to do it. So what's everyone working on today? Everyone out there, are you hobbying along with me? Are you still enjoying your morning tea, coffee, beer, whatever it is? There we go, glue that down. Hopefully that holds, and it does. Voila! There he is. So, speaking of tea, to all my viewers, love you to the moon and back. And yeah, let's have a sip of tea. Okay. Now, we're going to do a little bit of basing. So I'm going to start with, I like those little shrapnel. These chunks here work great. Just kind of cut them. I want one big. I don't like the one big chunk on the base, so I take it, cut it in half. Right. Score it up a little bit. Take off some of the really jagged edges. Take my knife even. Set that guy out of the way. You know, score it up a bit so that it's kind of irregular. Right. There's that chunk. That's I like that one even with that little lip. I kind of like that shape. Okay, put that down as such. We use some of these. They're a little long, so just tear them / break them up. Leave some that are long. There we go. Take that. I want that one. Take this bigger chunk here. Let's get a couple of random shapes out of it. Yeah, that's more than enough there. But now let's switch over to some of the round. Okay, so I like just taking a few random chunks of round sprue. So that'll be long enough, right? And then cut that. Now I take and score the ends. Usually run this across. Basic miniature painting just finished 3 out of 10 battalions for his King's German Legion for the Battle of Waterloo. Now working on his late French infantry. That's right. Fantastic. So, basic miniature painting. You have a YouTube channel as well, I believe. So, once you guys are done watching this video, you can always go over check out that channel. I love giving support to other channels who share the hobby. So you can see there, see I've got that all just gnarled up. Makes it look more like broken bits. Cut one on an angle here. And there we go, as such. Some slashes out of it. A little bit of a cut sideways. There we go. So there's that. Now lastly, well not lastly, but another thing that I like to add is the skulls. This is a fantastic kit, Citadel Skulls. And it's what it says, it's got 340 skulls in it. So that we can add these to the base, because we have to have skulls on our base. Well, I have to. I don't know about you, y'all, but so we're gonna go with one of these larger skulls here. There we go. And I think one of these closed-faced orc skulls, because orcs. And then lastly, we'll take one of the small skulls that's missing the bottom jaw. There we go. That's enough for this cat. And on the base then, I have a variety of basing material that I use. Some sand, which becomes really large and coarse. I like using sawdust, some fine sawdust, and then chunks of resin sprue. And it's kind of the theme that I go with my bases. So, first thing is I glue it down with crazy glue. I find that PVA glue has a tendency to just peel off, so therefore I do not use it. So I get lots of crazy glue in. This is why I just use like this crazy glue is from the dollar store. You get it, same kind of thing from like the pound shop for all of the across the pond. So we'll get that skull on there. Take a little chunk of sprue, have that glued on. Another little chunk of sprue randomly in there. Some sawdust, sprinkle that over for larger texture. Not sure if you can see this, trying to keep it on camera. And then I'll take some sand and put some sand, which will fill in a lot of the other spots. There you go. There's a start with that. You can see there. Hopefully the lighting is okay for you. Okay, so now I'm going to work my way around the base doing the same thing. So I'll start the back here. It's like quite a bit of crazy glue filling that divot. Quite a bit of glue. Looks like I'm going to have to break into another one here. Get that on there. Random chunks of stuff. Get some of the sawdust going around. Sawdust works well too afterwards if you paint it up looking like grass. Little chunks of grass on there. Okay, a little bit of sand, a little heavier with the sand in that section. Okay. And then, oh, so there we go. Officially had a crazy glue from that tube, but that's okay because we have lots more where that came from. Trying to get that skull in there. I like them to be kind of offset too. Oh, that's already glued down, so that's fine. Okay, let's get another tube going. Fresh tube of glue. All was good. There we go. That around. Chunk of sprue in there. A little bit of the, knock the camera while I'm at it. A little bit of sawdust. And then a little bit of sand. And this last front section here, gonna put quite a bit of glue there because I want to get this big skull glued on. There we go. And there, like such. Get some of the sawdust in there. Hey, hey, there's my buddy Nige. How you doing, bud? We're about 40 minutes in. So far we've assembled this miniature and I'm just going through the basing process. So this is a Centigor. And yeah, so that's the Centigor. Now fully assembled with basing material put on. You can see I got an orc skull, human skull, or well, that's bigger than a human skull, but large skull, and a smaller human skull there. Some chunks of sprue broken up. Again, we're using our sawdust, sand, and chunks of resin sprue, which will eventually, again, not fully painted, but will eventually give us like that kind of look on the base. This is one of my giants that I'm in the middle of painting, which right now it's only got the base coats on, but yeah. So that's the kind of idea for the base we're looking for. And this, again, if you're just joining us, is to make up my Age of Sigmar skirmish list. I'm 2 games in. I've won both of my games. We started at 150 points. Then for winning my first game, I got 10 additional points, putting me at 160. Then the next game, I got 20 points for winning that. So I'm at 180 points for my list. Yeah, it's a great affordable. I mean, being in construction, I walk around the yard and just pick up little baggies full of sawdust. But so far my list is Doom Bull as my leader for 120 points, and then 3 Centigors at 16 points each. And one of them being the champion, which was another 5. So yeah, not suspicious at all. Just got these baggies of sawdust here, sir. Don't mind me. I mean, you can test them if you want. But yeah, so this is my 160 point list. I think this comes in at, what is it? So it's 32 plus 120, so that's 152 plus another 16 is 172. No, I'm doing my math wrong here. Can you believe that? So yeah, 152 plus 16 is 158, 168. That's right, 168 plus another 5 points for being a champion. And I think I'll do 5 points for having the instrument too. And that will still put me at 178, so that's 2 points under. That'll work great. That horn allows them to run and charge in the same move, which will allow, they have a 14-inch movement to begin with. And then they can run another D6, but if you spend a command point, which you get 1 command point a turn, if you spend a command point, that's automatically 6 inches. And then they charge 2d6, so they have a possible 32-inch threat range. So something that's 32 inches away from them can still end up getting charged in melee combat with these. 2 wounds each. They have 4 attacks each. 4 plus is their saving throw on a d6. So yeah. Well, this guy, Nige says, wow. Yeah, the Doom Bull is actually probably the strongest out of all of them. So now that we've done this, let's take a quick look at some stats, shall we? So here is my Wondrous. I'm going to pull the camera back. Let's see if we can do this without completely dropping the camera. Raise the boom. Come on now. There we go. Raise the boom up. Tilt that just a bit. Move that light out of the way. Okay, so the lovely Chaos Battle Tome Beast of Chaos for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. So in the Skirmish League, you use all these rules with a few additional rules that was found in the White Dwarf magazine for a few months ago. I forget exactly, but you can find it online. It's not a problem. And the best thing about Age of Sigmar, when you buy the models, it comes with the rules for those models in the boxes for most of them. Not these guys are all web store exclusive. Oh, basic miniature painting. Hey, sorry, need to get some food before work. Great stream. Speak soon. All right, have a good one. Again, guys, basic miniature painting. They're a great channel. He's out of the UK. Check him out. Or is it still the UK? EU? No. He's across the pond. Or they're across the pond. Not sure. Okay, so let's see here. So we got our points breakdown. But when it comes to... Where are they here? Okay, so Bulgor and Centigors. So you can see they've really made Age of Sigmar, for those that don't know Age of Sigmar, they've made it really easy. So you have your movement here, so you got this little chart. Movement 7 inches, they have 4 wounds. Their save is a 5+ on a 6-sided dice. Their bravery is 6. That's equivalent to leadership in the old school, right? So when you roll 2 6-sided dice, and you have to roll your bravery or under, otherwise you break. Any more? Connection issue, but you're still there. Okay, bud. Yep. Any more with the attacks and whatnot? In 40k, it's still like strength versus toughness, and that magic number 7 when it comes to your ballistic skill. So if you have ballistic skill 3, it means you need a 4 to hit, so on and so forth. Age of Sigmar, not like that. They simplified it a lot. So with Age of Sigmar, what it is you get your range of your attacks. So even your melee attacks have a further range. So you can see the Centigors that I use, their spears have a 2-inch range, which really allows you to have like that first rank, second rank, where they can fight over top of them with their spears. And you can see it's 4+ to hit, 4+ to wound, with no rend but 1 damage. So and again, Nudge, there's no longer the comparing the strength of your weapon to their toughness. They've kind of taken care of that all with, depending on what your movement, your save, and how many wounds you have, all that kind of thing. So you can see they have 2 attacks with their spears at a 2-inch range, 4s to hit, 4s to wound, no rend, dealing 1 damage each. And then they also have their clawed forelimbs, which only have a 1-inch range. 2 attacks, 5+ to hit, 5+ to wound with 1 damage. So less chance of hitting with their clawed forelimbs, but that's still, for 16 points a model, that's still really good. And then we have here the Gorehoof, which is the leader, so he gets 1 additional attack with the spear. So the spear itself, that one guy, he gets 3 attacks. Really good. And then 1 in every 5 models can have the Brayhorn. So in Skirmish, it's just 1 guy per different unit type for the Centigors, right? Because you break down their cost by how many models in the unit. That's how much they are individually. So Age of Sigmar is like Warhammer 40k, where you have like all your big units and you have this mass table that you're fighting on. Skirmish is you just take like a few models for what their points are broken down and mix them together. But if you want them to be like the champion, which is a Gorehoof, then it's an additional 5 points. And if you want them to have anything like the horns or the banners or whatever, another 5 points. But I really like that, right? Allows them to run and charge in the same turn. Then their bucklers add 1 to the saves against melee attacks, so they actually have a 4+ save. And when they charge, they can re-roll all wounds for attacks made by the spears on the round that they charge. And they can get drunk. So at the start of your hero phase, which is at the very start of the turn, it goes like hero phase, then it goes movement phase, shooting phase, charge phase, combat phase. Your hero phase is also when like all your wizards cast their spells. So at the start of the hero phase, you can say that they're drinking wildly. If you do so, until your next hero phase, add 1 to all hit rolls for attacks made by this unit and attacks that target the unit. So, I mean, it's good if you're charging in with a bunch of them and you think you can wipe them out in that turn so that they don't get to attack back. Because the way it works for this is, if it's your turn, you pick 1 unit that you get to attack with. then your opponent picks one unit that they get to attack with, and you go back and forth until there's no units left. So sometimes it's not advantageous to charge with 2 or 3 units, because you'll attack with one, then they'll attack your unit that hasn't fought yet, possibly wipe them out. So sometimes you only want to charge with 1 unit per turn. You really gotta weigh it out. But anyways, and then the Bulgor, I'm loving him. He's like 3 damage per hit. Or those are Bulgors. Sorry. The Doom Bull is who I was trying to talk about. Bulgors are great too, but the Doom Bull, there he is, Doom Bull. It's the same thing. 3 damage per hit. So threes to hit, 3s to wound, rend -2, so that's -2 off their saving throw when they go to roll for their armor saves, and then 3 damage each hit. So that's huge. He only has the 1-inch range, but he's got the Slaughterer's Call, so you use the command ability to start at the combat phase. If you do so, pick a friendly Warherd unit, which you can pick yourself, wholly within 12 inches of a friendly model with this command ability. So once again, you can pick yourself. And you add 1 to the wound rolls made by this unit. So he's wounding on 3s and 2s. And then I've also given him another artifact, which gives another one, +1 to wound. I mean, 1s are always fails, but that means he's wounding on 2s on both accounts. It's fantastic. Huge, deadly army. I'm loving them. As well as they have specialty pieces of terrain. This is called a Herdstone. It's not used in the skirmish, but in the Age of Sigmar, like the bigger battles, this has a bubble of like 6 inches around it, where the units automatically pass bravery tests. It makes it so that I believe I get +1 to my armor saves when I'm close to it. As well, I can sacrifice units as long as I have a character near it, and those units are near it. Sacrifice those for like these Herdstone points, which you can use to summon in other units, like free units summoned in. But you have to sacrifice some of your own. It's excellent. And then every round, that bubble gets 6 inches bigger. So in the second round, that's 12 inches. Third round, 18 inches, 24 inches. So you get this bigger bubble where your guys are so brave that they never break, which is fantastic. But yeah, so this guy's all dried up. The trick of cutting the hole in the base and putting the glue through. Yeah, they are a great looking piece. You should see, if you haven't looked through the Games Workshop line for all the new scenery pieces, the new Goblin one where it's a little rock hill and then this big like moon, like crescent moon, just gorgeous. Gloom Spite Gits, I think is the name of their army. But and then like the water elves, the what are they called? Idneth Deepkin. They've got like a shipwreck, which is kind of cool, because I guess their whole myth is that this ether wave comes over the land, and they kind of like come in your dreams more than anything. And then these water elves, they come and they're trying to take souls back to the sea. It's really good. And then the corn just like the demons of corn for Age of Sigmar just released it's like a big throne. It's not the skull throne. It's like a blood throne or a blood altar or something like that. And it, even though Khorne doesn't have any wizards, they have priests, and it helps those priests get off their prayers. But yeah. But anyways, now that we've got that assembled, I think we might be wrapping it up here. So what are your guys' thoughts on Age of Sigmar Skirmish if you play it? And if you don't play it, in the comments down below, feel free to list any games that you do play. I always love hearing about games that I haven't tried yet, and I love looking into them. As I said last night, I played 3 games I'd never played: Fury of Dracula, Game of Thrones card game, and Munchkin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles edition. It was fantastically hilarious. But I'd like to thank those that joined. I'd like to say a big shout out to Nige. Hey brother, miss ya. hope to see you soon. And to the rest of you, you know, just have fun with it.